We're good. Go ahead.
Mike, good morning.
Go ahead, Lawrence.
Good morning, everybody. And it is the end of the month, the 30th of September and Friday. So the slaughterhouse of failure is not in our destiny. We shall persevere until we succeed. Today, we're going to talk about the comfort zone and the difference between being content and being happy. So we're going to talk about fear and what that all means. And I'd just like to start off by saying that only when the pain of where you are is greater than the pain of making a major change will you finally take action. In other words, we're in the comfort zone of where we are and we're happy there. We're content, not happy, we're content sometimes, most times, many times. But there's something else going on out there. There's always a lot more. And we want that. But what holds us back is fear. So if you look at, fear, what does it mean? Face everything and recover. Fear encouraged abandoning roots. False evidence appearing real. Fantasied experience appearing real. Foreseen events appearing real. It's all in the mind. Forget everything and run, F-E-A-R. So all of these things are fear. So we're going to look into that a little bit.
The 1 week when you don't let me kick it off, you kind of steal my thunder.
I Googled those things.
You took the words right out of my mouth, man. No, when we talk about the comfort zone, right? That's where most people are living. 98% of people are living in their comfort zone. 2% of people are living outside their comfort zone. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But, one of the things, driving forces that keep people content, that keep people in that comfort zone is fear. And Lawrence is exactly right. One of the most famous fear quotes, and I know you guys are all going to know who said this, is the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, right? We're fearing fear. We're fearing of getting outside of our comfort zone because, one, it's the unknown. Two, we may be, for some of us, we may fear that if we do get out of the comfort zone, we may not succeed. So we have a fear of succeeding or not succeeding. There's so many things that drive this fear, and it's all in our mind. Just like Lawrence said, it's all mindset. How do we get that out of our mind? How do we get that out of our mindset and change our mindset? And so we're going to talk about a couple of those things today, and we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between those people that are content and those people that are always striving to do more. There's a couple of other great quotes, and Lawrence wrote one down on our notes it's another quote about fear. The only thing I'm afraid of is fear. And there's a lot of those throughout history. Nothing is terrible except fear itself. There's just fear after fear after fear quote. And the reason is so many of us fear the unknown, that we fear getting outside of our comfort zone. We fear success. I've known people that have had a almost debilitating fear of succeeding. Right. And so they just constantly stay content and they stay inside their comfort zone.
They've asked, you hear some of these leaders like Mark Cuban. He actually bought into some businesses that he didn't understand even because of fear of missing out. FOMO, fear of success, FOSS. You start looking at all of these things that affect our decisions, and it all starts in the mind. It all starts how we think. What are we afraid of? Is it real, or is it imaginary? Is it something that can make a difference to me if I don't do it or if I do it? And what is it that's holding me back? It's all imaginary stuff. It's not real. It's in the mind. So, the difference between content and happy, one is passive acceptance. When you're content, well, you just, you're in the comfort zone of mediocrity and you accept it. And the other one is achieving something better. Well, what's holding you back? Other people can do things. We know that it is possible to do things. Well, what's holding us back? Is it a real thing? Oh, I don't have time. I don't have money. I don't have this. I don't have that. I'm too short. I'm too old. I'm too fat. I'm too... BS. It's just in the mind. And it's all of these imaginary things that obstacles. It's the cobwebs in our mind that we keep putting in there. And unless we get rid of those, we will stagnate in that zone of mediocrity. We've got to come out of that.
Yeah, when I first started doing these calls, I used to have a fear of doing these calls because, I was like, am I going to be bringing value to everybody? You're never going to be bringing value to everybody. But if we can get to, even a small percentage of you on the calls, then it's worthwhile doing. But one of the things that we need to do is change our mindset about this whole fear, this whole staying in the comfort zone and staying content. And, if you're on this call, you're here for a reason, right? You're tired of being comfortable. You want to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And so to do that, you have to have this 2% mindset, right? Only 2% of the population actually does this. Going for your dreams, embracing the unknown, exploring new things, living without limits, liking change, getting comfortable with change, acting in spite of your fear, and getting the most out of your life. 2% of people, right? 98% of people are living in the comfort zone. What does the comfort zone look like? Being like everyone else, fearing getting outside your comfort zone for what other people will think of you, being insecure, just surviving instead of thriving, just getting by, playing it safe, regretting not being the best version of yourself, settling for less, and procrastinating. That's 98% of the population. That's a pretty staggering statistic if you think about it. And it doesn't really take that much to get outside your comfort zone. It just takes being able to embrace the unknown, thinking about what your dreams are and your goals are, and striving to meet those goals, gaining confidence, exploring new things, choose happiness. That's one of the big ones, right? Do you want to be happy or do you want to be content? Not that you can't be content and be happy, but striving for those goals that you want to reach, those dreams, embracing the unknown, being excited about doing that, acting in spite of that fear, ends up being really fulfilling. And because of that, you're going to be happier. And then you're going to get the most out of life because you're striving to be that 2%. And so there's 4 things, 4 excuses for not getting up and making success happen. Consider your position on each of these excuses, and is there room for improvement? So one of the things I hear day in and day out when I'm speaking to people about our business and about the opportunity is, I'm uncomfortable calling people. Why are you uncomfortable calling people? Are you antisocial? Are you an introvert instead of an extrovert? What is it that makes you uncomfortable about calling people? What is it about you that makes it uncomfortable to speak to people about something that you believe in, that you spent enough time in your life learning more about, understanding the technology, the science, everything that we have, going out to the forum and learning more and spending money and time? Why are you uncomfortable talking to people about that? Lawrence?
Yeah, Dan, I was going to say, just going back a second to the 2% of the people that are actually out of the comfort zone. Robert Kiyosaki talks about the 4 quadrants. And if you think about that, 95% of all people everywhere are employees. They're employees because that's kind of like where they end up. 95% of everybody that works is an employee. But a lot of people aspire to get out of that. They want to be their own boss. They want to have money. They want to be able to do things and so on. And that is one of the big things. So I'm just reinforcing your 2%, that even Robert Kiyosaki on his quadrants was talking, he talks about that huge number of people are just employees. And one of the reasons that we look at all this population that is in a stagnant area, or let's say hardly growing area of their lives, if there's something called Landmark Forum, which I encourage everybody to try and look at or go to or have something to do with, because there you go to the roots of why you are acting in certain ways. So Dan was just talking about, I'm uncomfortable at calling people. Well, why? Well, he just mentioned some of the things because you're not sure of yourself, you're not sure of what you've got, et cetera, et cetera. But also many times it goes back to something that happened when we were 4 or 5 or 3 or 9. Somebody tells us, my gran or your grandfather or an uncle or something, an aunt tells you something, makes a statement, and it wounds you it makes you believe that this is what it is. So you go through life with that either encouragement from somebody who's given you the encouragement to say you can do anything, or someone who says, no, you can't do that, and that's not for you. And you get you have those doubts. And the ego is wounded if we're uncomfortable with talking to people and somebody says no. We think, oh my gosh, it's all about me. No, it's not. It's about how you've presented it. It's about what you know about what you're talking about. It's how defined you are in your own skin, how sure you are of what you've got. Those are things which will get people to say yes, rather than make you feel dejected and wounded because your ego feels, like it's someone's hurt your ego. So embrace the rejection. Make it something that you like, because it's bringing you closer to your planned success.
Martin just put a great quote in to the chat that I love. That's a Mark Twain quote. I have known a great many troubles, most of which have never happened.
There you go.
Some of these things we fear,
yeah.
and it's the fear of the unknown,
yeah.
right? We make up these ridiculous things in our mind, and they're just excuses to not do something. So get over it. The business world rarely rewards a whiner.
Yep.
Number 2, I don't like asking people to spend money. There's a great quote from Calvin Coolidge. The business of America is business, right? We're a nation of entrepreneurs and salespeople, and every sane adult in this country knows it. We're one of the largest commerces in the world. People are sold things every day of the year. What are you trying to do that's any different? We actually have we have nothing to be ashamed of. We have a sponsoring company that's legitimate and offers a high quality product and a service. So we should have no regrets in trying to sell people what we have or talk to people about what we have. I don't like to call it selling. I like to call it sharing, because we're sharing an opportunity. We're sharing products that we know work. We have clinical studies behind them. We know that they're safe. We know that they're effective, right? There's no reason that we should not be talking to every single person about this opportunity. And I was talking to one of my team members this week, and I said, hey, have you talked to Brett about this? One of our other business partners from a different industry. And he said, no, I haven't. Do you think I should? And I was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean, do you think I should? Of course you should. And guess what? 24 hours, he calls me back and he says, I talked to Brent. He wants more information. He loves the idea. He thinks a lot of his doctors would be interested in this. And I'm just like, come on, man, you're a salesperson. You should be talking to everybody about this. Everybody whether it's a doctor, whether it's another medical device rep, everybody, whether it's your neighbor, whether it's your mom, whether it's your dad, whether it's your cousin, whether it's your aunt, it doesn't matter. We have something that can help people. So we should not really feel bad at all about asking them to spend money. If they want to spend money on what we have, that's up to them. At least we've introduced it to them and given them the opportunity to improve their lives, improve their health, if we're talking about a product. Same thing if we're talking about a business opportunity. We have the opportunity to help people improve their lives through this business opportunity. It has improved my life in a myriad of ways. And so I have no hesitancy about talking to anybody about it.
Well, that person that you mentioned that didn't want to talk to somebody else, then that person, I would say, has mental constipation. There's no excuse for that. That's just being really clogged up badly.
It's tunnel vision, right? He was thinking, oh, I've got to introduce this to physicians, and not even thinking about other people that he knows in the industry that know physicians that he doesn't know.
And he may not even be a physician himself.
Exactly.
So you may be undervaluing yourself and your worth. If you're afraid of asking people for money, to spend money, not for money, to spend money, you're not secure in yourself. You're looking at it from a position of scarcity. Be sure of what you've got, what the value of what you have to offer. This is what makes us strong when especially in this industry where we have the backing of the science, the technology, the innovation, the company that is, stellar. All of these things should make us very secure in being able to encourage people to invest in themselves. So it's not about asking people to spend money just willy-nilly. I mean, people ask people, to spend money on all kinds of superfluous things. This is something that is really worthwhile. So feel confident. It's about the conviction that you have of what you've got and who you are and what you're offering. It's being sure, it's being certain. So, you shouldn't be shy about encouraging people to spend some money in something that's going to benefit them. It's benefiting you, right? If it's not benefiting you, then you're a hypocrite. Don't do it. If it is benefiting you, then encourage it, because you are talking from experience. You're talking about something that is good for you. It's powerful for you. So encourage other people. No problem. Don't be afraid of that.
Absolutely. Number 3 is I feel uneasy about inviting people to an opportunity meeting. What is it that makes you feel that unease? Do you not know everything that you think you should know to present the opportunity? Bring in a team member. Third-party validation. We should be doing that every single day anyway. I reached out to Michael Cook this morning and said, I talked to somebody yesterday. I'd love to get her on the phone with you to talk to her about your perspective in the business. Right? Do you believe in the products? Are the people in your upline respectable, hardworking people? Do you believe the opportunity is administered fairly to all distributors? Do you think other people deserve to hear about this opportunity? It's not right for you to prejudge how people may feel about the opportunity. It's up to us to present the opportunity, right?
We share a bunch of stuff that's superfluous, on TV, on our computers, on our iPhones. We get TikTok and we get all kinds of stuff on there. We share that. Why? Because we think it's funny, because we think it's smart, because we think it's intelligent or stupid or whatever it is. But we're always sharing something with somebody. And what's the difference between inviting someone to an opportunity meeting? What does it mean? It means I've got something that I think is interesting. I'd like your opinion. I respect your opinion. I respect you. I think it's a great thing. You may not think so, but that's fine. That's why we're all different. So, when we talk about being shy of inviting people, I've been invited to some events and I thought they sucked. But I still got something out of it, even though the main theme, no, maybe not. So don't be shy. Don't be embarrassed about who you are, what you've gotten, what you're offering, and what you're sharing. This is a position of abundance. And let the other people decide whether they liked it or not. You're not the decider, they are.
I think you hit it on the head right there, Lawrence, when you said that. Is that people send out TikTok videos and stuff all the time, and they do it because they don't care about the response. They just send it out because they're, at the end of the day, if you send someone a funny video, they don't care about the response. They're just sending it out. We could have that same attitude with sending the information out on this business, where if you unattach yourself from the response that you're going to receive. And most people have an attachment thinking they're expecting a response. But if you send out a funny video, you don't care if they like it or not. You're just like, okay, I thought it was funny if you like it. And if we had that same attitude with this, where if you unattach the response that you're trying to receive and just send it out there and quit worrying about the response you receive. And I think that's one of the things is we that fear of the response, that we attach ourselves to an expectation of response. And we don't with the other videos. I mean, you're right on the hit the nail right on the head there.
Thank you. By the way, on that little subject, let me just mention something about not caring about the response. I've been doing something on Instagram, and I've had stuff posted. I got 9,000 views on some stupid thing I put on Instagram of me dancing in a supermarket. 9,000 views. My God, have people got nothing better to do? I didn't put it in for a reason. I just put it because I just felt like it. So, and that's out of my comfort zone too. And I'll talk about that in a second. But the next thing is Dan, if you want to go, I'm not the sales type. That's the fourth thing that we're going to talk about. So Dan, if you want to start, I've got a lot to say about that too.
Yeah, I'm not the sales type. Who is? Great salespeople aren't born; they're made. Some people are better at it than others. More than likely, it's because they practiced. It's because they don't have the fear of introducing it to people. It's because they're not discouraged by a no response. All of those things that keep us from doing that. I'm guilty of this too. There are days when I'm not comfortable with that. For whatever reason, maybe I'm tired, or I did a ton of calls the day before and I just don't feel like hearing no again. But those days are the days where I push myself and say, okay, I'm going to do one more call. I'm going to do 5 calls today. I'm going to do 10 calls today. It's just that mindset. Just because you heard a bunch of no's yesterday doesn't mean you're going to hear a bunch of no's today. If you are insecure about selling, get training. Read books, personal growth. There are countless books and seminars available. Talk to your upline, talk to your sponsor, talk to anybody in the business that you have a relationship with, and talk to them about how they present it. Right? Failing to recognize your weaknesses and take action to resolve them is one of the biggest problems in any salesperson's life. Right?
We talk about, I'm not the salesperson. I'm not the sales type. It's the actual way it is worded there. You think about it and you say, well, would you sell used cars? You say, oh my God, that reputation for used car salesman, I don't want to be in there. Well, guess what? Even if that industry about, you don't like the sales part of it and you don't like being, I'm not the sales type, well, you can shine if you've got integrity, you've got grit, you've got professionalism. Even in used cars, you can shine with that and be much better than anybody else. You can strive to do that. And I'm not the sales type. That's a lot of BS too. I was thinking about that.
That's an excuse.
It's a big excuse. And so, for example, when we say we're not the same, when you went on a date, did you dress up? Did you comb your hair? Did you put on lotions? Did you have nice clothes on? You were hoping people were going to buy into you. You embellish yourself for the sole purpose of attracting someone. That's sales. Do you drive a 30-year-old jalopy, or do you want to think of people? Do you want people to think of you as a hobo? Do you dress like like Bill Gates. I mean, like not Bill Gates, Steve Jobs. Well, he could afford to do that because he had reached the pinnacle of every success he wanted to achieve. So then you don't have to sell yourself. You don't have to think about people buying into you. But to do that, man, he had something. So you've got to be sure about yourself, and you're selling yourself all the time. How you behave, how you react, what you say. These are all ways of selling yourself. Who is this guy? Oh, he's a guy, his reputation is good. Who's this guy? Oh, he's a buffoon. He's just sold himself as a buffoon. So sales is in the mind as well.
There are, as I said, there's a lot of books, there's a lot of training you can get online, but most of what you're going to learn is gained on the job. Have you ever heard the quote that 80% of what you're going to learn is on the job? When you're in college and you're like, oh, geez, I hope I know everything. And people say, oh, it doesn't really matter. You're going to learn 80% of what you need to know on the job, right? So due to the nature of sales, it's no different. There's no better training than pure action, right? Take action today, and your fears of inadequacy will quickly be replaced by the confidence of competence. Go ahead, Vince.
No, I was just going to say, like I said, it's just what I like with Jim Rohn is we have to correct people's philosophy. So when people say I'm not a salesman or not, go back and explain to them what sales is. And it's just a transfer of belief. And so when people say, Vince, you're a good salesman, I'm like, well, no, I just believe more than you because I've been to the thing and I've seen what this can do. And so when you take that away and say, if you knew that this Max would help your mom to cure her cancer, you're not selling it to her. You believe what the product can do and you're transferring that belief. So what we need to do is increase your belief level, because it's not the sales, it's your belief in the process. And all being a salesman is being able to transfer your belief to the individual, because if you know that it works, someone tells you that it doesn't work, they're not going to change your conviction because you still believe that you know that it works. And so just increasing people's belief factor into it. And that's why you always hear me harp on Utah next week for those of y'all that ain't going.
You were a expert in nutrition before you got involved in this business, Vince. Where did you build your belief?
Utah. That was it. I mean, I wasn't an expert. I was a mad juicer. I didn't know what a tocopherone was a year ago, and then I just spent just a year all the information was there. So I just find it astounding. There's all the videos, and I have a lot of people on my team, and I'll say, how many of the videos you got through? And they say, well, I watched 2 of them. And I'm like, well, in the same amount of time, I've watched all of them. And so all I did was go through more material than anyone else, because I had to change who I was going into the medical field to build my belief to be able to go in and talk to a doctor having no background in an industry. And so all that happened was all the information was there. I just chose to absorb it. And I've, gone to every single convention. And that's the thing, from convention to convention to convention, it builds your conviction. And eventually you come out of there with this armor around you that no one can penetrate. Like no one, if you go to Utah and you see everything, no one can tell you the labs ain't real. Like they say, well, that's not real. Like, no, I've been in the labs. What do you mean it's not real? And so all I did was going to that convention changed everything for me, because it's like, oh, wow, this is a real business. I got to learn it. And I think that sometimes we forget that this is a real business. And we come from a background of knowing the industry that we're in, and we think that applies to this industry, not realizing that everything that you know in your life is worth to this. You're at a baby and trying to take these people through this learning curve, because we have this thing, you don't know what you don't know, but people think they know. And that's why we got to get them to Utah, because you don't know what you don't know. And the problem is dealing with people who think they know, but they don't know.
So I just like to say something about this thing about not being good at sales, and also the comfort zone and coming out of it. I went to Colombia 2 weeks ago to a plastic surgeon event, big one. There were 800 plastic surgeons, and I had a booth there. I have never sold anything that has to do with beauty and with the skincare product, I've never really pushed it, never tried to sell it. I went straight into the Lion's Den, the plastic surgeons event, completely out of my comfort zone to talk about beauty and skincare and anti-aging and looking great and all this. Never done that. Straight out of that. That was right out of my comfort zone. But I went there with the conviction that I've got something that even the plastic surgeons who are experts in their field would have something interesting to hear from me because of what we have. And it's that power of conviction, it's that strength within you that will drive you to come out of the comfort zone and not miss opportunities, because that's what happens. We miss opportunities. So I'm just trying to give an example of something where our belief system will overcome the, the mental cobwebs we've got.
Yeah.
And what we know. Go ahead, Dan.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the ultimate in stepping outside your comfort zone, right? And leading by example. So we're past 10. I want to leave everybody with an action statement this week. I'll let Michael talk quick before I do that, but I have personally asked every member of my team to make it a priority in October. I called each and every one of them and asked them if they could do $1,000 more in sales this month, October, than they did last month. Right. And they were like, well, why? And I'm like, because I want you to get your business jump started. I want you to be more successful. I want you to increase your sales because that's going to take you to the next compensation level, you know, whatever it was for that particular person. Right. It wasn't about me. It was about them. So we should all be doing that. We should not fear calling them and asking them to do that. They're a member of your team. And as a member of your team, your job is to motivate them. So Michael, go ahead. You have your hand up.
Sure. I just wanted to comment on that, that something you said earlier about being afraid to talk to somebody about the business or something like that. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Michael Cook. I'm in Naples, Florida. We'll talk about that in a minute. I was introduced to the products from my physician, and he never mentioned anything about a business to me. He knew I was a businessman, but I never worked in healthcare, so maybe that's part of it. And I wasn't a salesperson. I watched other salespeople. I managed them. I was in management and invested in 4 other companies. So he never spoke to me about the business, but another physician friend of mine did. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here today. I wouldn't be a diamond in this business. And I wouldn't be in Naples, Florida after a hurricane, not wondering where my next paycheck's coming from. There's a lot of businesses down here that are just gone, homes that are gone, completely wiped out. Who knows what's going to happen with the debt services on those businesses that we're providing income. And it's just, it's something that we have. And if you're uncomfortable sharing that security, this opportunity with people, you really need to do what Dan and Lawrence and Vince had talked about today and reestablish your commitment, your understanding, your belief system with this company. It's a fantastic call today, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Dan, sorry, just a quick one is when you talked about talking to everybody in the team about doing an extra $1,000 a month, that sounds like a lot. $250 a week. That sounds like it's nothing. I'm just saying the perspective. And can you sell $250 in a week? Who the hell can't do that? Come on, man.
Challenge it with a bet for $50, where if they don't do it, they got to pay you $50. That's what you were talking about. Put some fear of loss into them. So, like I said, on our job, you have a fear of loss. I've never had a job, but for those that have a job, if you're late to work, you're afraid. You're afraid of your boss. You're afraid of this. So most of us work out of fear. And get your new people, put a challenge. Say, hey, if you don't do it, let's put $100 in the pot. You lose. If you do it, you don't got to pay. And you get a collective group. So there's some type of reaction if you don't achieve your goal. If you don't do it, that there's a repercussion, because most people work their lives out. The only reason they do what they do is because of repercussion. If you don't show up to work, you get fired. If you don't do this, there's a repercussion. Because there's not a repercussion in this, we just kind of skate through it, hoping someone gets started, hoping someone does something. But if me and Lawrence, me and you had a goal to go Ruby by December, we put $1,000 on the line, and I had to pay you $1,000 if I don't hit it. All of a sudden, I have a fear of repercussion. Like I got to get it done because there's something at stake. And so we would always have 90-day runs with our runs, where we'd have a leadership, something at stake that's a fear. You can pick on the ladies on the call. I say, I'm gonna shave my head if I don't hit it. Just something so drastic to where you wouldn't let it happen. But there's some type of fear of repercussion that forces you into activity. Because we don't have that, it's hard to force people into activity without some type of repercussion. It's weird how we're wired like that mentally.
Well, some people react to the carrot and some people to the stick. So
Guess what most of those people said to me once I explained to them why. I said, oh yeah, I think I can do that. And guess what my response was? You think you can do that, or you can do that? Right? I think a lot of, when I was early in this business, I feared calling my teammates and saying things like this to them. I don't fear it anymore, because what's the worst thing that they can say? No, and they don't do it. And I ask them again and they don't do it again. Well, guess what? I'm not going to spend a lot of time on those people anymore. Right? I'm going to spend time on the people that are a part of the team and acting like a part of the team, pulling their weight and doing the things that I ask of them, because I do the things that they ask of me. So the action statement to end the call is, within the next 48 hours, present the product line to a prospect solely on the grounds of making a sale and not recruiting. Can you go out and sell one life pack today? Can you go out and scan somebody and sell one life pack nano? Can you put somebody on meta? 7 out of 8 people have a problem with metabolic health. That should be an easy sell.
There it is. I think that's a good closing statement for everybody to actually, or an opening statement for going to do something. Take action. Go and do it.
Any questions, comments before we wrap it up?
Yeah, Dan, I was just going to comment here real quick. So for you guys that aren't able, like, sometimes people aren't willing to invest the money for Meta. Like, I've got some of my wife's friends, we talked about gut health, they lit up and they're like, so is this $100 product or a $50 product? And I'm like, it's $100 product, and kind of quiet, right? And I wasn't going to sit there and convince my wife's friend to fork out money that she may not have been comfortable spending. So when we look at this gut health stuff, to be able to look at the new Biome product as an alternative for people, kind of like Life Pack is the entry point, right? If all we had was a $100 product, we're not going to, make nearly as many sales than if we have a product that's at a lower price point to offer people as well that are interested. So, rather than trying to force the sale with a more expensive product, give people alternatives and give them options to upgrade, but at least get them in the door with something. And New Biome is one of our top selling products worldwide. So if you look at New Biome, Meta, and Beauty Focus, those are 3 of the top selling products. And these are some of the reasons why Dan McCormick is getting very focused on putting together a system around these products so that we can replicate, drive tremendous product sales. And when people are willing to spend $1 with you, they're 7 times more likely to make another purchase, or 7 times more likely to spend more money. So whatever you can sell somebody to help them get benefits on the products, to build that relationship, and then the follow up and follow through to upgrade them to something else, get another order, maybe put them on a subscription, maybe get a referral, maybe upgrade them to the business. Anything you can do to, get someone connected to our company and to our product line, and then circling back to upgrade them is really one of the major keys to success and driving customer growth, which then ripples the effect of business growth as well.
Or when somebody says it at a $100 product or a $50 product, say it's a product that works. And then I agree with you, there are other alternatives we can offer, but the big thing is that price is something that is relative, I think. Does this thing work? Yes. Is it going to satisfy what I need because of my problem or what I want? Yes. Well, then, make the effort. But again, you're right. It's especially now, money is can be a bit of a challenge, but that's not our problem. That's the person who has or has not got the money or the intention of his or the priority of their health. That's the main thing.
Well, you're not
right on that. It's
selling,
perspective.
you're not selling the
Like,
product, you're selling the benefits and the solution.
Yeah.
Bingo. People don't care about the product, they care about the results. And when I mentioned gut health and she lit up with, the point I was trying to make was I made a mistake and I lost the sale because all I did was give her the option of Meta rather than saying, well, we've got a product for Meta, which is a really advanced metabolic product. But we also have another product, which is a great drink as well. That's in that $50, $60 range. And she would have probably just bought the $60 one, drank it, loved it, ordered more, bought more stuff for me. But I made the mistake of only talking to her about Meta, and I ended up getting a no rather than creating another possibility. So I just wanted to bring that up as just a point of reference of I ended up losing a sale because I wasn't going to make the second and third effort and make it uncomfortable for my wife's friend where she felt like I was just trying to sell her something. So being able to sometimes give people that alternative, it brings down the resistance, gets them in the door, and moves things forward without feeling like you're maybe putting a little bit more pressure on somebody that you don't want to. So I totally get the fact that it's a priority issue with people, but sometimes those priority conversations are uncomfortable or inappropriate, and they constrain a relationship as well.
Just ask them if they drink a Starbucks. I did this with my stylist the other day. She said it was expensive. I was like, you drank a Starbucks. You could have had 4 days of nutrition in your body for the price of one Starbucks. And so a lot of times when you point out perspective where they're spending, and she looked at me and said, oh, you're right. She bought the life pack right after I said that. I was like, you could have taken care of your body for 4 days for the price of one Starbucks. And she's like, oh, you're right. And then she bought it right then. So a lot of times if you just, my aunt did the same thing. She's like, this is expensive. And I told her, like, you spent $80 on Starbucks today. What do you mean it's expensive? She went 3 times. So a lot of times people, when you put that prioritization to show them where they're spending their money, they don't even realize it. We call it the latte effect. If you buy Starbucks every day for 5 years, it's $42,000. We call it the latte effect. So, I mean, sometimes just remind people that, hey, have you got a coffee this week? Well, you could have taken care of your health for what you did for that one coffee for the whole week. So just teaching them to kind of tweak their mindset, because then they'll a lot of times go, oh, you're right. I didn't even realize I was wasting that much money.
Great points, you guys. The most astounding thing about what you just said is that you have a hairstylist.
Hey, I've been on the road for 14 hours, people. You want to talk about out of your comfort zone? I left yesterday. I'm driving to West Virginia. I'm an hour away to the optometry convention to hit West Virginia. Then Monday I'll be in Virginia. Then I'm driving back 16 hours. I hop on a plane to fly to Utah, fly back, and then Monday driving back to North Mississippi to hit another clinic. So I'm gonna be in like 7 states over the next 3 weeks. So
wow.
When you talk about comfort zone,
that's impressive.
That's why I look like this. I haven't slept. I've been on the road all night driving up to this convention. So
I'm just kidding, Vince. But let's wrap it up. We're running past time. I just want to, make an action statement for yourself. Think about it today. Make an action statement for this weekend, early next week, whatever it may be. Let's get next month kicked off on a positive note. And if this was easy, everybody would be doing it. Not every day is going to be easy, but those easy days really make up for the tough days. And there's a great quote that Deb put in here, Jim Rohn quote, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better.
Yeah.
What are you doing every day to make yourself better? All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Good job. Thank you. Thanks,
Bye,
Deb.
everyone. Have a good
Thanks,
weekend.
Vince. Thanks, everybody.
Great
Thank
call,
you.
guys.
Thanks, everyone. Great
Great
call.
points.
Thank you.